Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Pedraza. I miss having you down in the iLab, but I'm going to walk you through how to build a puppet theater at home for your language class. Madame Gutierrez and I thought you might like an unplugged creative outlet to show the vocabulary that you are learning. First, take some time to gather supplies. Try to look around your house and see what you already have. You may need to get creative. Try to improvise if you don't have something. I find a lot of what I need for projects in our recycle bin. Also, it's probably a good idea to run ideas past your mom or dad first to get their permission before you take something. This is called courtesy, and it's always a good idea. For your theater, you will need a large cardboard box or at least 3 large cardboard panels. I wouldn't go any smaller than a shoebox, which might even be too small. For your screen, you're going to need some thin white paper. Parchment and wax paper work great. I found some tissue paper from my gift wrapping supplies that will work. You will also need a light source. Don't worry, this is not a consumable item. You will be able to put it back when you're finished with the project. For your puppets, you're going to need some chipboard or cardstock and skinny sticks to glue them to. Bonus items that aren't necessary but could take your project to another level if you happen to have them are colored transparent film, like the cellophane you may receive around a gift basket. This may help set the mood of your play if you hang it in front of your light source. Or if you have some brass fasteners, you can give your puppets some movement. You're also going to need a few tools to make your theater and puppets. Try to find a ruler or anything with a long straight edge. I have a scrap piece of cardboard that I'm going to use. A pencil for making marks and sketches, tape, a utility knife or some scissors, and markers to decorate with. Remember, just like in the iLab, safety comes first. Set up shop away from curious younger siblings or even pets. Tie your hair back so it doesn't hang in your face. And make sure you let an adult know when you plan to use a utility knife so they can monitor that you're using it in a safe manner. Also, it's a good idea to have a cutting mat underneath or a scrap piece of cardboard. You don't want to accidentally damage any furniture in your home, so take this into consideration before you begin. Let's get started. We're going to begin by creating the theater structure. You should have already gathered your supplies. A complete box works best, but try to improvise if you only have a few panels of cardboard to work with. Start with a plan. Look through the following slides before you begin your work. Then determine which panels you will add each element to before you start to cut. Also, I left my box flattened to make cutting safer. When you are ready, determine the panel you'd like to be your front and use a ruler or a straight edge to sketch a box that is equidistant from all sides to create a hole for your screen. I would leave a margin of at least a few inches. You may also want to consider how long and how wide your screen paper is to make sure it can cover the area before you cut out your screen hole. You wouldn't want any gaps if your paper is too narrow. Once you're happy with what you've sketched out, go ahead and carefully cut out your hole. Next, you will want to cut out rectangles on the sides of your box to allow access behind your screen to hold your puppets up. You will want to make these about 4 to 6 inches wide. Too narrow of panels will make it difficult for you to maneuver your puppets, but too large of panels will let a lot of light to escape. I'd start smaller. You can always cut them to make them bigger later on. Lastly, you will need to cut a hole in the back panel of your box, just large enough to place your light source through. Clip lights or telescoping lamps work great, or even flashlights. I happen to be using a small lamp that I took the lampshade off of, so my hole will be just large enough for the light bulb to fit through. Go ahead and build your box, forming a cube. Before you tape the bottom flap shut, make sure you tape in your white paper inside to create your front screen. Pull all the sides tight to make a cleaner look. Your creation should now start to look less like a box and more like a theater. It's time to add some creative decor to your theater front. This step is where you can really make this project your own. Do you want to put your name across the top of the theater? Do you want to hang curtains on the sides? Maybe you want to draw some columns. Also, you might want to consider the setting and the mood of your novel. Are there any background details you'd like to include? Use whatever you have at home to give your theater some individuality. Here's my theater. I had some black spray paint, so I painted my box black. Then I added a nameplate across the top, named Pedraza's Playhouse. And then I had some leftover fairy lights from the holidays, so I added those by wrapping them around the top. Next up, it's time to design our puppets. These will help you use your vocabulary that you've learned thus far. Make sure that you take into consideration the proportions of your screen size when you make your puppets. You don't want a tiny little puppet behind a massive screen, or vice versa. You can use any sturdy material to make your puppets. Sketch some characters or a house on the side of a cereal box, or try using some craft foam that you have laying around. Here you can see I have finished my characters. I created a house and a girl and her pet cat. When you are all finished making your characters and props, gather some tape and whatever you're using for a stick. Go ahead and take a piece of tape, make sure it's narrow enough to fit on your puppet. Then lay it sticky side up and take your skewer and place it about 1/4 of the way down the piece of tape. Then you're going to fold over the tape to stick it to itself so that your skewer is about 1/4 or 1/3 of the way covered, and you're left with a tab that you can bend back and forth. You will go ahead and repeat this process for all the different characters that you have. When you're ready, you will then take the skewers with your tabs and you will attach them to the back of your characters. Just use a small piece of tape to do this part. I'm taping the tab to the back of the character rather than the stick. Make sure your tape pieces are narrow enough that they will not hang off the sides of your characters, because that will intrude on your shadow. It's time to put your creations to work. First, if you haven't already done so, place your light source through the hole in the back of your theater. You may need to engineer how to keep it in place. Luckily, my lamp was tall enough to stand on its own. Then, practice your puppets and make any modifications you deem necessary to your theater. Go ahead and write your script and then rehearse your show. When you're ready, prop your phone or camera up in front of your theater, hit the lights, and take a video of your puppet show. Bonjour, je m'appelle Jacqueline. Et voici mon chat. Il s'appelle Chocolat. When you're ready, go ahead and upload your movie to your classroom. We're excited to see what you've created. I'm sorry that you couldn't be in the iLab to do this project, but I hope you have fun making it at home. Stay safe, and we'll see you when we get back to campus. In the meantime, if you have any questions, be sure to email me or find me in a Zoom session. See you soon!